Let's live dangerously. Can everyone hear me okay?
Everyone in this room left.
There's a lid, we're good.
Are you in the channel right now too?
Right.
I saw you and I both wave. I'm like, oh, Tasha's for example.
One's got a. He's a little anxious boy too.
Is it? It's got a lot of people here.
Why those people? I just saying, you look as anxious with the building.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking to a small child downstairs at so it's like, oh, Zach's got a dog with him today.
Yeah.
How was Apricot?
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
customers onboarding recently, right?
we have two customers. One is Centro though, which is Trent's company. We have one other such and we're about to onboard. Another one this week, and then we've got two huge companies that want to do it. We currently do like 100 patients a week, maybe 50 to 100, depends, just depends on how many patients there are. And we need to get up to like 15,000 a month
Yeah.
by like August.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
But
so we're about to hire like 6 people.
you got Tony. How many people do you have on the ops side or the business side?
I have 2 Bangladesh engineers, Tony. Tony's more quiet, yeah. And then my Bangladesh engineers are more kids too. So I don't have any other senior engineers besides me, so I'm gonna try and hire 2 like senior people.
On the,
And then,
on the business side, you have balance.
well, no, we just have Amanda.
Yeah, we have
So we're gonna hire a CSM to manage the accounts, and then
Anyways, how did you try to do
we're gonna get a designer.
You're getting a whole bunch of information on this company's great, so.
Hey, good morning. How's the weather in Tulsa? Oh, you guys are muted.
We can't hear you.
Curve,
You're muted.
It's muted.
Oh, you used to be down this office station.
That's good.
Good morning.
Good
Oh,
morning.
can you hear us?
Now we can hear people.
Okay. Hey.
How are you?
Oh, I said I need the chargers.
Oh, yeah, no.
I feel like it's your computer.
Should be on the first guest. I actually had the other one.
Oh my gosh. Sick. Forever.
We're gonna see the water. All kinds of different things. Yeah. It starts with students and then travels to faculty. Goes back to students.
$100 a day here.
No.
Every couple of weeks.
So I couldn't get Node downloaded, or one of them. So I need the.
Yeah, my student, the audio over there too.
I don't know if it's like turned up or not.
So.
I didn't, it's showing up as an audio device.
They won't give it. But I know.
Yeah, I'm not showing it as an audio device for whatever reason. It's not getting sent on the HDMI.
When you click
Yeah.
that's
So for the other cohorts that we do, when we give them
These
a
are my
laptop,
internals.
they have to download this. What's your current?
HDMI output, let's see if we try that.
Front, left.
Say from. Yeah.
That guy's really problematic on this one.
It wasn't like this on Wednesday, right?
No, it
I
was,
wonder if it's.
will you guys unmute for a second and, talk so we can hear, forget the speakers working?
Hi.
Sweet. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Hell is running Java. Maybe they have got a gajillion Chrome sessions running, but.
Better read that out loud, you.
So I do. Whatever you want.
Yeah. We went to. And very, very thoughtful, honestly. We're like, it's not. It's weird. That's crazy. Yeah, exactly.
It's any better.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Yeah. We just adopted.
my notes up over here. I'm sorry, guys, running just a tiny bit late. But we should go ahead. Are we, how many people are we short right now? Pretty close. How many people are we short?
No, you can start.
We're good? Okay. As soon as the HVAC turns off.
I turn it up. It takes like 30 seconds.
Anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate all of you who are also in Tulsa with us. So how many people here got their GitHub account set up or already had a GitHub account set up? Raise your hand, please. Okay. How many people were able to get Node installed? Raise your hands, please. This is the guilt trip session of the class. Basically trying to make everyone feel bad. So, yes, okay, how many people were able to get to the terminal or have a bash terminal installed on their local machine? There's fewer hands. All righty, so if you have not been able to do that, raise your hand, please. All right, so can some of our people help, Zach, I think there he is. Could we help some of the people here get that started, please? All righty. So everything we're going to be doing from here on out is effectively going to require those three tools, obviously Node, Git, and your command line. The command line becomes the primary development interface that we use. Seriously, is that fan going to turn off ever? Is it just...
Do you want to?
Is the background noise killing you guys? Or are you doing all right?
We don't hear anything.
No.
Excellent. Okay. All right. They don't hear anything. They don't hear anything as far as the noise. I will just speak louder for the people in the room then, so that'll all work out. Hey, that scared the machine into submission right there. All right, so our primary interface for software development ends up becoming the command line, the web browser where you actually, see what you're doing, your code editor like VS Code that you're using, and your Git client, which in our case is GitHub. Those are basically, you could talk to anybody who does regular development, and those are basically the things that are open all the time. they have them running all of the time. And a not disproportionate reason that you end up needing two screens, because you generally want to see them all at the same time. You're like, what's my command line telling me? What's the browser actually rendering? What the heck is wrong with the code base? And what changes have I committed before they've gotten pushed up to the main system? So we're gonna do a little bit with Node, a little bit on the command line, and then we're going to do a little bit with GitHub today. I've got a couple activities for you guys to work on, and then once we're done with this, because we do this stuff every day, every part of what you do is going to be involving the command line, Git and Node. We're going to move on to advanced JavaScript concepts next week, which is specifically the fun part. It's Zach was actually jumping up and down when we get to higher order functions and functional programming. It's kind of like the bomb. So, but we will mess with it a little bit today. I want to kind of demo some of the stuff, and then I want to reinforce the importance of learning some of these pieces. Again, I'd recommend you guys do this every day, do this stuff every day, find a tutorial, go on to freecodeschool.com or org or whatever it is, find something to work on. You just need the time behind the keyboard. There isn't going to be any substitute for getting used to it. I get around on the command line faster than I do through the GUI. It's way easier for me to get to files and do things. After you get used, once you get quick on it, it's so much faster. It's very similar to the difference between highlighting something, right-clicking, and hitting copy, and when you learn the Control-C command, and you no longer have to actually right-click to get to something. It's the exact same kind of thing. It's so much faster. So get your hands dirty, get used to it, and just get comfortable with it. So let's go ahead and let's start with a basic project. I think I can throw this up on the screen over here. Zach is not on the Zoom call, so he shouldn't kick me off if I go 5 minutes over this time. All right, if I did this right, you guys should see a beautiful picture of the Oklahoma River. Yes, no, somebody who's watching on video?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. All righty, so let's we're gonna do this exactly like I would be doing it if I was creating a new project, okay? So this is my terminal, this is my command line. Yay, here's me, Bobby. I will go, I have a hard time going slow with anything, as you guys have already picked up on. I will try to go slow, but the idea is just to kind of follow along. What we're gonna do, let me tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a folder, okay? We're gonna create, make sure that we've got Node installed. We're gonna create a small Node application. We're going to put that folder and that application into version control, and then we're gonna upload it to GitHub. Okay, so we'll kind of go through each of the steps. Anytime you start a new project, say tomorrow you want to invent the world's greatest thingamajob, right? This is what you're going to end up doing is kind of the starting. You generally make a folder. One folder contains one project. It has all of your project files in it, all your project folders, all your configurations, your settings, everything. Then you do some development, you put it into version control, you save it, and you get going. Please make sure you use the version control all the time. You're going to really, once you start using it, you really can't live without it. It becomes problematic to actually live your life without version. I wish I had the version control on my actual life because I could just back up to the version of Bob when he was skinny and had hair. So, all right. So I'm going to do an ls so I can see what's in my current working directory, and I'll do a pwd so you can see which folder I'm in. I'm in the /home/Bobby folder. This is my home directory. Okay. And you can see I have some bin, document, desktop folders, that kind of thing. I keep all of my software development projects in a folder called projects. Okay, so I'm gonna go over to projects. All right, and you can see a list of, if I type it correctly, thank you. It's actually harder to look up here and type and kind of try to make eye contact with you than it should be, but. So these are all a whole bunch of different projects that I have going. Each one of these is a separate software development project, okay? So let's make a new one. I'm gonna call it, okay, Coders Week 2. Are we on week 2? No, week 1 still. Week 1, class 2. And just so that I can sort them because I have a lot of OK Coder folder classes. I've done this for like 8 other classes, so I've got the same name too many times, right? So I'm just going to make a directory. That's the command. I'm going to make a directory for 2024. OK Coders Week 1, Class 2. Okay. If you guys have an existing project, something like is it a drugstore or a coffee shop, the coffee shop. That's right, the Star Brews. Okay. If you have an existing project, you can just use the existing project and actually you can pull it into version control afterwards. All of that's fine. But if you get a project and it runs over multiple weeks, you don't obviously have to call it this. The idea is just to have a folder, you do everything in there. Version control takes care of making sure the history is in there. Okay. So I'm going to, come on, you can do it. I'm going to CD into that folder, and then let me do PWD to make sure I'm in the right place. Okay, so I'm in my projects folder. I keep all of my brand new, great, awesome, super cool JavaScript projects that I have just freshly made, and I'm in the correct path. Everyone, okay. It's surprising how often the hardest part of doing this is knowing the pathing when you're first getting started. So I just want to make sure everybody has something similar to this right now. Do what? Oh, yeah. So that's the Control C is cancel. So if you're ever doing anything on the command line and you're like, screw this, I've mistyped something and I could possibly, wipe out geostationary satellites or something. You just hit Control C and that's cancel. How many people have seen The Matrix? Okay, there's a scene in there where like, what's her name? Trinity takes over his computer and is controlling it there and sending a message and he hits escape and nothing happens. And then he hits Control C and nothing happens. I've heard more than one person say, why is he trying to copy the screen? What that tells me is that the idiot in the movie theater doesn't know what he's doing. He obviously has never used a Unix operating system, which no hacker on the planet is going to use a Windows operating system to hack computers. So obviously the movie is actually more accurate. So Control C, and you can see I just do Control C, right? And to cancel anything I'm doing. So I can be like, totally wipe out my class. Oh, don't want to do that. So I just hit Control C and that cancels it. So.
What is this again?
Again. Oh, so that is a message that the last thing I did on my terminal got canceled before I finished. It's a message to me that the last command did not execute properly. So if I type like ls, the ls command ran successfully, and I don't get the SIGINT. I've set up my command line so that if the previous command fails, it gives me a bright hot pink notice so that it sticks out to me so I know that the command failed. That's because I get a lot of long-running build commands and compile commands and stuff like that. And if they don't work, I can't sit there and watch them for 5 minutes while I'm doing something else. I need to come back and see if they exited successfully. So if the program, for whatever reason, doesn't exit successfully, I get a hot pink message. And because Control C has always failed to close successfully, it's giving me that. So,
But I don't get that.
no, this would be me and my custom Linux configuration.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. My entire computer is basically an extension of my brain. It's So we're all good. Everybody on the same page? All right, now let's make sure that we have Node installed. So I'm going to type a command called which node. It should return something back like this, okay? The which command is a pretty simple command. It tells you if the command actually exists without running it. So I don't want to run the node command. I just want to know if the command actually exists on this computer and that I can find it. So by typing which, it not only tells me, yes, you've got this, but in my case, you can see it tells me where it is in my file system, which is really important to me because in my case, and as you guys get into your careers, you'll find you actually run multiple versions of Node, probably one for each project, because each project gets tied to a particular version. And so you have to install multiple ones. So in my case, I'm using a tool called NVM to manage my Node versions so that I can have different Node versions for each project if I need them. That's way too much right now, and I'm getting into the deep end of this, but the which command will also tell you where the file is that's being executed. So does everybody have this, or does it say file not found, or execution path doesn't exist, or what the heck are you talking about? Node is good? Everyone's good? No, somebody, I got a shaking head over there. Okay. Yours says not found either. Well, we just don't like you, so you're fine. No, you actually have a Mac, so somebody here can help you. I can't help the Mac, so I can't help the Windows people. Okay. So we've got Node. Let's make sure we've got Git too. So I'm going to make sure that I've got Git in my system. And if we've got all of those, we're in pretty good shape. Okay. So there's actually two things I need to talk about with Node. Last week I mentioned that Node is an interpreter for JavaScript. Originally, JavaScript was only in the browser. You literally would type JavaScript into your HTML, kind of like you guys have been doing. The browser would read that, and then it would basically just follow the instructions in it to do the stuff in the browser. That was the only place it existed. There was no JavaScript outside of in the browser, and that was the only place you could use it. This started to change back, I don't know, about 2005, when Google decided they would come out with their own web browser. Google didn't want to compete with Microsoft on the desktop. They wanted everything to be on the web. So they came out with their new web browser. The primary intent was that they needed a web browser that was basically 1,000,000 times faster than previous web browsers, because nobody was going to use an email client on the web if it meant that they had to wait 45 seconds every time they clicked on an email to load. And so they came out with Chrome. Chrome, its big feature, and the thing that only really mattered inside of it, was something called the V8 compiler. The V8 compiler was a JavaScript compiler. It would take the JavaScript code and it would compile it to executable code, the same way that like your .exe files on Windows are compiled to binaries. You can't open them, there's no text, right? They are written in machine code. V8 did the same thing in Chrome. It would read the JavaScript, then compile it, and then run the compiled version because it was hundreds of thousands of times faster. The initial load took some time, but then once it was loaded up, everything ran faster. Things like Google Maps were just not doable with JavaScript. It was too slow. It was so slow that it was unusable for anything more complicated than moving some images around and stuff like that. But with the V8 compiler, all of a sudden, it was pretty darn fast. And you could use full-blown applications inside the browser. Well, somebody came along a short time after that and was like, oh shit, this is kind of cool. Hey, you know what? If we have a way to access files on the local machine and a way to handle packages so that we can install like modules and stuff like this, crap, we could have like a real programming language. This could be like C or Java or Python or anything else. And somebody was like, hey, that's a great idea. And they created Node. So what Node is it's JavaScript. It's just JavaScript. It does the EMC script version 8 now, I think. So it's fully JavaScript compliant. It is only JavaScript, but it includes a couple other things, and those other things are what we care about. So this is a long story. Excuse you, Gesundheit. So this is a long way to get around to the fact that there's a couple things that are unique to Node that we're going to go through. And by unique, I mean just added to Node so that it gives you the functionality you need. Because you don't need to access files inside your web browser. You don't need to install additional packages inside your web browser. You don't need to do any of these things, but you need to do these things once you have a programming language on your local machine. Okay, so the first is that we get a local JavaScript interpreter. Okay, so Node runs what's called a REPL, which means it reads the data, it interprets it, and then it prints it out. And it will compile and run in that fashion as long as you want to. So if you're ever in a situation where you just want to type JavaScript to see what it does, we have that option just by going over here and typing Node. You'll see it gives me a welcome message with the Node version I've got, plus it'll show you can type .help for any more information. We are no longer in the bash command line. Now we're in the Node command line. Okay? Different language, different wording. If you start trying to type things like get right here and nothing happens, it's probably because you're no longer in bash, you are in the JavaScript terminal. I think you can just type exit to get out. What's the exit? What's the official exit command? Yes, good. Hey. .x to get out anytime you want. The dot basically means the environment I'm in right now. Or you could do like I do, because I'm lazy, I just type Control-C twice. So now, this is a REPL, read event print loop. REPL stands for read event print loop, or read evaluate print loop. Okay, so you can type JavaScript in here. This has no state, which means that when you exit out, you lose everything. Anything you've typed, anything that's in there is gone. As long as you stay in it, you're fine. But once you leave, it's all gone. So this isn't a great place to write programs in. This is a great place to test stuff in. So let's pretend we want to try something like, I don't know, I just want to do a console log. I can spell. Is that handsome? I don't even know if that's how you spell it. Anyway, and it will print it back out for you. Right? Anything that you can do inside of JavaScript, you can do into here. So for example, I can type people and create an array with Bob, Susan, all right, now I've got people for each. I don't need to get into function overloading with you, but yeah. So now I could do a pop, right? And it'll give me Becky back. Why am I hitting the wrong thing? You can see my list is now updated because I've removed Becky on there. I can do people push. So I have the ability to interact with the JavaScript session anytime I want. Okay. Well, it also lets us do things like if we want to try to load trying to get to my mouse. If I can find my mouse, I'm in good shape. It also means we can do things like if we want to try to import information into our stuff, we can do like const data is equal to or requires, sorry. Right, so if I want to import an external file, so I've got some JavaScript code in another file or something like this, I can actually do imports into this. It'll get pulled into the REPL and I'll be able to start interacting with that data as well. We'll have an example of this in a little bit because that's probably the easiest way to make this understandable. But this is our read event print loop. Questions? Nothing. All of you look like you're staring directly into an eclipse. Obviously, I have failed to relay this knowledge at any useful level whatsoever. All right, that's all right. We'll show that. So there, out of the three things I kind of want to show you about the node environment are first your REPL. Okay, the second thing I want to show you is the actual compiler. So let's make a file, or make a, I'm going to use, I don't use, I guess I can use code. I'm going to make a new file called welcome with a JS extension. Okay. I've just got to remember how to use this thing. Is there an easy way to zoom this in, Zach? Yeah, the welcome, the VS Code text size.
Yeah, VS Code.
Obviously wasn't paying attention.
Control plus.
Oh, excellent, thank you. It doesn't work on Vim, so anyway, we could do, let's do console. Session 3 class 2, is the session 3 class 2, module 3, sorry.
Day 2.
Really, I was misspelling requires, but you correct me on what thing of the title. Okay. No, you're great. Thank you. Yes,
What of this, it's all on this command, not from
which one?
the code dot.
Yeah, you have to add that.
Is VS Code not installed in your path by default?
You have to manually tell it to. But for now, I would just like.
Okay, let me show you how to file open from, oh, yeah, okay, so, so the problem is that you run how I, let me jump back to here real quick, I guess. So the problem that you're running into is that if you do a which code, you'll find that you don't have code in your path. Code is VS Code installs an executable called code, which is actually how you open it. Because it's not there, and instead it's like on your local, it's on a thing that you click on with your mouse. When you click on it, your mouse tells your system where that file is. So go ahead and I will close this instead, so you can see this. Let's go ahead and open up your Finder or Windows Explorer or whatever else. Oh my goodness. This is going to be really obnoxious to try to see, but let me zoom over to here real quick so I can see. Okay, so here's my file explorer, right? And now I've made it look all cartoony, which is always great. Nothing like taking a professor seriously who's all cartoony. All right, there's my 2024 OK Coders module 3 week day 2, right? And here is either create a new file or folder. And you can open it from there. So if I want to do this with VS Code, I can do VS Code. And I'm going to go ahead and reopen it just because I'm a glutton for punishment. And there's my file, Bobby Projects 2024 OK Coders. I click open. And yay, I've got it open. Does everyone have it open now? Yes, good so far? Excellent. At least for the people we care about. All right, and so now if I ls in that folder, I've got my welcome.js, and I can just type node welcome.js, and it will run and execute that file. right? So in this case, what's happening is it's basically reading that data in, it runs it through the REPL, creates an executable, runs that executable, and we're good to go. The person good? Okay. How's everyone in Tulsa?
I'm getting an error. Some of us are having trouble getting Git installed. Some of us need admin permissions.
Yeah.
Do we have a mentor up in Zach? Do we have a mentor up in Tulsa? Yeah, Zach will hop up on the Zoom session with you during break, and I could jump over and help these people. Let's go ahead. Actually, let's just take 10 minutes real quick, get everyone on the same page. If you need to use the bathroom and you're okay, then let's do that. But let's go ahead and get everybody kind of caught up. That way we don't have to worry about getting farther behind before we move on to the next thing. So, all right.
Hey, Tulsa folks, that's weird echo. What were the issues that you were having?
I think we may have got it figured out. I got my error fixed. We confirmed that he's got Git, but Allie needs admin permissions from her IT, and she doesn't have it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I don't think we can do anything about that.
Zach, are you still there?
Yeah.
We have a Mac question.
Okay, I like those questions.
Okay, so apparently I guess I have Git installed, but it's like, it won't let me do anything. What does it say? I guess I need Xcode or something. I guess it's required.
Yeah, hold on, let me.
Okay. Oh yeah, it can't download because of the network problem. That's the error that I eventually hit. Yeah. Right. I've been Googling stuff, so I can't keep up. I mean, from like Google, I think X is like. Oh, God, okay, so. From 20. And it says at that point, the latest.
Okay, sorry, I can't get on the Zoom for some reason.
Yes.
So is it asking you to install Xcode? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that seems to be the error. It says no developer tools were found requesting install, and I try to do that and it will error out saying like network issue or something. Which I don't know. I Googled it and I guess Xcode is a really big file, so
Can you screenshot the error and put it in Slack?
yeah. No, I don't want. Okay, it's in the bits please channel. Yeah. Watching
Andrew, try that command in the terminal that I just pasted.
I would think the same thing.
It's just saying finding software. Which I don't know.
Can you screenshot what it's doing?
Now.
He was sticking his nose.
But that's. On my end, it is my favorite too. Oh, you couldn't. Well, most people use Ivory. You can basically model a lot of Ivory.
Oh, there's a.
Excellent. Yes, yes, so.
Yes, and with the files, and then.
Yeah, code will open it. No. Code is technical. Yes, yeah. It's
Well, he doesn't have that file saved.
Do you want to try another Wi-Fi? I got a hotspot.
Oh, I can.
And then go back to and then do LS.
The powers that actually do.
Okay, so you
There you go. Okay. Oh.
Yeah, I. Yeah.
All right, is everybody caught up? Anybody left? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Good? Yeah? Excellent. Guys, thumbs up, all right, good. Zach is over here surfing YouTube, I don't know what's going on. So- All right, so we've got two things we've covered so far are the node REPL, right? Which is just the environment that allows you to type stuff in to test your JavaScript chops, right? So Bob, this be like the worst used variable of all time because Bob always returns Bob. But anyway, right, then we've got our compiler, so we can do our well. Yes, ma'am.
that's my bad. I did that.
That's fine. Thank you for catching that. Are you watching me through Zoom? Gosh, I must be.
Yeah.
I am so painful to look at that she would rather do it through a screen. It's like Medusa, right? You can look at Medusa through the mirror around the side, but not in real life. It's the reflection off the head. It's blinding with the big bald spot. Thanks. Yeah, you're no longer my favorite student. Just like that. See, okay, no, thank you. That was super helpful actually, because I didn't realize I wasn't sharing that screen. Okay, so we've got our three, we've got the two things that we care about so far, which are our REPL and then of course the node interpreter. Now, I have a piece of code and it's in a folder. And because anytime you have code in a folder, what?
I think they probably just need to get. It's also.
Oh, okay. Well, we can hear you making fun of my head. No, okay, so I've got code in a folder. I care about this code. The next thing that I need to do is put it into version control. Okay, I promise you, if you don't do this, you will come to regret it. There will be a day that will come and you'll be like, oh crap, that's right. I was playing around with that thing. How did I do that the other day? Oh crap, it's not in version control. The reason why we use Git and we use version control is because Git effectively takes a snapshot of the code at every step through the entire life of the code. It allows you to go back at any point in time, see what you did, pull that code out, those changes or some of those changes, and put them back in. So let's pretend that you've just finished some great feature. It's awesome. 6 months come down the road, and then you have to make some changes to the system. You spend a couple hours working on the changes, and something's broken. Like the whole system isn't working. You don't know why. you're not exactly sure. Nothing seems like it should be wrong. You didn't change anything bad. You're probably missing a semicolon someplace, but you don't have any idea where, right? So how do you fix that? You're 2 hours into making changes. You've touched 500 files as you're going through this. How do you fix that? How do you even know what's wrong, right? That's what version control gives you. It basically gives you unlimited undo forever. Okay, I can give you an example here, and let's see, what's the oldest project I've got on here? Maybe we'll do presentation V1 because this is an internal presentation I had. Okay, so this is a really, honestly, this is just a presentation as a website. When I do speaking gigs, I'll actually just make a project. It's a website that you can click to show the slides, that kind of thing, right? So it's been in version control. It looks like if I do like a git log, and you guys don't have to type this stuff, you can see that I've got changes that go back to at least, I don't know, that looks like 2015, probably farther back. But anyway, okay, so you can see that's gone back there. If I have a tool called QGit on my computer that will show you a graph of the system, but it can show you all of the changes and when they happen and when changes branch. So like if I've got multiple versions of the same project, which is really super common in code, you've got release version 1, release version 2, you've got to create fixes for each one of them separately, right? So you have them on separate branches. I can keep all of that. So it's not just an undo, it's a branched undo. So Git is super important, and it's also what everybody uses, honestly, because it's, well, honestly, by far the best. I remember some of the old ones before Git came along, and you would be amazed at how bad they were. So the next thing we need to do is actually put this into version control, okay? There's another reason why I want you guys to start putting stuff into version control, and that is for your first job and your first opportunities and stuff like that. People are going to care less about the work that you've done, the quality of the work you've done, and more about the volume of the work you've done. What they want to see is that this is something that you do all the time, okay? Showing people a couple projects because you followed a tutorial on YouTube is fine, but what they want to see is that for the last 100 days, you're working on this 3 or 4 days a week. You're spending as much time with this as you are Mario Kart, okay? That's what they're looking for. What are you shaking your head at me? I'm gonna come over there and stab you with my pencil. I think you just said I'm old. No, I have kids, man. That's what we play at home.
You're so old,
It's kind of,
Oh, man.
yeah. All right. No, so yeah, or breakdancing, whatever the cool kids are doing now. What they want to see is that you're showing a lot of activity. And one of the reasons why GitHub as a platform is super popular, GitHub is just a hosting platform for you to push up your Git repositories. The reason why it's such a popular platform is it allows you to actually see the activity of somebody's doing, even if they can't make it public. Like my work when I was working at Bison, you can't see that. Like people can't just click on the Bison repos that I was working on, but they can still see that you were pretty active in it. So let me pull up an example. If I can find an example real quick. Here we go. All right, so let me go to GitHub. Okay, we'll go over to my profile. And this is the last 365 days in a heat map. You can see about what time I started working, helping with the tech startup and trying to get serious about getting some code rolled out for it, right? Because this is when I was a manager. Totally different lifestyle, right? So I think you got to go back to like 2018 before I've actually got any real activity, right? So, but this is what they're looking at. They literally don't care that you've made 400 to-do lists. You can do one simple project or copy somebody else's project, upload it, and it look like you've done one good project. This takes more work to cheat it than it does to actually, than it would be to actually just learn it. right? So if you're uploading a random thing every day for the last 365 days, then this is what it is. Here, let's look up Zach. That's what we should do. Zach, what's your username? Oh, I guess I could just go over to the, because there is, let's see, okay, coders. There's that funny looking face of your, there we go, okay. Let's go to Zach's profile so we can see how active Zach is. Okay, Zach does a lot. Also, you can see what weeks he had vacation, right? Like that, you can see the vacation weeks right there, because they're the only ones that there's nothing happened the whole week, right? So, but yeah, this is for programmers, this is your resume. This is what they care about. I would strongly encourage you guys to not only code every day, but every day that you do code, save your work, push it up in GitHub so that you can show that this is stuff you're doing. It's also just good habit. If you get in the habit of, look, Jerry Seinfeld made a comment one time. There was an amateur comedian that came up and said, "Hey, I want to become a great comedian. Tell me what I need to do." And he goes, "Do you write?" And he goes, "No." And he goes, "Well, then you're never going to be a great comedian." And he said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Great comedians write all the time. They're writing jokes all the time." He goes, "Put up a big calendar, write jokes, for 30 minutes that day. If you do 30 minutes worth of writing, put an X on that day, because your only job is to make sure that you don't get any breaking X's." Because that's how you do it. Because there's nothing you can do besides practice. These are X's. And that's what you've got to do, is you just got to get the time. You've got to get in there, you've got to beat away at it. And this is what this is showing, right? The first thing I did with the new developer when I'm interviewing them is pull up their GitHub or GitLab repositories, because it's a better indicator of the actual kind of programmer they're going to be than if they bring me some kind of stupid project that they've shown that they probably downloaded from somebody else, or they ask ChatGPT to write one for them or whatever, right? So this shows me dedication. And I could turn somebody into something with some dedication. So, all right. So let's put this into GitHub, because it is the stupidest thing we could possibly put into GitHub. It's a console outlog. Seems like the perfect thing to put into GitHub as a starting project. Let's jump back over to here. Okay, so this is what we've got. Let me show you how to create a Git repository, okay? So whenever we run this command, and it's pretty simple, it's just git init, which stands for initiate. And then we've got three pieces. Remember we talked about options on the command line? The first command is git, which is the main command. Init is the sub-execution command, the thing we want git to do. It's going to initialize this. And then the period is the folder I'm in right now. Okay, so if you ever see pathing that says period / period something, that means the folder I'm in right now. So I'm saying I want to initialize this as a new Git repository. That's all it's going to do. It gives me some stupid message in my case because my default branch name is master, and like 4 years ago, Git got really concerned that the word master was somehow oppressive, and so they trying to switch it to main, and I've just never gotten around to switching my default branch name to main, so I apologize. Although most of the repos I work on are main, but and you can see now I've got most of yours will probably say main, by the way. Anybody guess? No? No? Say master as well? All right. So now that we've initialized this as a repository, let's see what files are in it. We're going to do git status. On branch master, there's nothing that hasn't been done. There's no commits yet to do, but we do have one file we're not tracking. Okay. So I wish I had a whiteboard. I do have a whiteboard. Look at this. So, and I just got to drag it over here so everybody is also too. Your workflow generally consists of running the next couple commands all the time. Okay.
Can we turn the camera to see our whiteboard?
I'm going to try to stick it behind you is what I'm going to do, because I don't have much of a portable camera. Okay. So this is the git init is just how you set up the project. After this, almost all of your workflow is going to be some kind of variation of git status, git add, git commit. Okay. Those are the three commands you're using all the time. You only set up a project as a Git repository once. After that, it's a project forever. right? So it's not one that you run very often, but these other two ones are ones we do all the time. So let's go ahead and run through those. I'm gonna do a git add, and I want to add my welcome file. Let's do git status again. When in doubt, type git status. It doesn't break anything, it doesn't hurt anything, and it just shows you stuff. Okay. So here you can see I went from file being untracked to file being tracked and ready to commit. Okay. Why would I have files in my project that I don't want tracked? They don't contribute to it, or they don't update it. Maybe they've got information that isn't actually part of the deployment that's specific to your setup. Maybe they've got things like passwords that actually get stored in a vault someplace, but not in the code base where people can see it, right? There's all kinds of things. There's temporary files that get built. Also, we generally like to write software in such a way that you run the commands, it builds it, and then rolls it out. And the in-between setup stuff, you don't want that stuff actually going. What you want to track are the code changes, the actual work that you're doing, not necessarily the work that the compiler and stuff is doing, right? Because if we track everything the compiler does, they're going to write 10 million lines out. We actually only really care about the code that we've changed, okay? So now I want to commit this. So we're going to do a git commit. And I'm going to give it a message that basically says first. And now it will be, if we do another git status, that's not a word. We can see that everything in this folder is in Git, everything is tracked, and everything has history. Okay. Dash M, yes. Do I need to zoom this in a little more? Dash M for message. I can type git log too if I want to see kind of the history. It'll show me who the author is, the date, and the message, as well as the hash code for the value. For those of you interested, does anyone know what this hash code represents? This is just an interesting side effect. You don't actually need to know this. Does anyone know what this hash code represents? This is the hashed value. A hash is just like it looks like a random character string, but it's a unique value that represents all of the data in a particular set of changes. If you take a hash value, that is a snapshot to verify that the code is the way it says it is. If we make one change, if we change an upper to a lowercase, the hash value will look entirely different on it because it's a unique thumbprint of the data itself. If you store as part of your change the previous version, the hash from the previous version, it effectively creates a chain that shows you this is my version, and it has to be from this version because the last version's hash is in my new version. That creates a chain of these hashes. Another way they call these sections of changes are blocks. And when you hash them together, you chain those blocks together over time. If anyone's heard of cryptocurrencies, this is how blockchain works. The only thing is we've been doing it since the 70s. It just got super popular and people thought we could make money off of it. But beside the point, we've been doing it in version control at least since like 2004. But this hash chaining guarantees that the code cannot have been changed without somebody noticing. And there is no way that you can even go back in history and change it without identifying that change trickles all the way through the system. It's a way to guarantee the authenticity of every single solitary line of everything that's ever happened in the history of this code base. Just exactly the way like cryptocurrencies work. So just as an interesting side note. So far, so good? All right, now you have a Git repository. That's it. This whole thing, that's it. You've got a Git repository. It's on your local machine. Congratulations, you've got it. It's there forever. Yay! Right? What does that mean? Well, that's great, except it's not going to show up on GitHub, right? So one of the other things that Git does very well is lets people share code between each other to work on it. So I could give one of you guys access to my GitHub repository and you could push your branches. I could see your branches and merge my branches and I could push my branches to you, that kind of thing. That sounds great, except that gets really complicated and really obnoxious real quick. It's generally better to have one server that everybody commits into the same server so that everybody's pulling from the same server. So everybody's got a single point of reference, right? And that's what GitHub is. It's basically a single point of reference for anyone who wants to use it. Your personal projects, your business projects, your class projects. I've had the same GitHub account for 1,000 years. And and I've literally, I think I've got like 25 different emails associated with it, depending on consulting contracts and everything else like that, because you can just connect your different accounts and then they disable access to the repositories when you're done. So I want to get this code, this repository into GitHub. So let's go ahead and jump over to GitHub. Oh, there we go. I'm going to go to my profile. And yes, all of you guys should be doing this too. Up here, we have repositories. Seriously, oh, 2012. It's only been 12 years that I've been in GitHub, so. It wasn't that not bad, it was the face when you said it. Anyways, no. Everyone here? Okay. Up, not, what are you doing? We're all waiting because she was.
I got logged out. Now it's still authenticating here.
I'll let you help her once you go over there. Okay. So up here, there's repositories. All right. And I just want to create, you can see how many, like I've put everything in here. I put personal notes. I put backups of just all kinds of things because I get a full history and a change set of everything. I can back up to the way my code base was December 3rd at 3 a.m. on the, in 2015 or whatever. And that's really nice. It's really, really handy to be able to do that. But anyway, I'm going to click this little new button right here. Do what? Ah, that would be much more helpful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. You can technically give this any name you want, but I like to give them the same name as my local, right? What is my local? Week 1, class 2. Also, it helps if I can spell week because I don't want to have to rename the repo later. GitHub also has it because all the source code is stored in GitHub. It ends up being where your CI/CD and SDLC systems run off of, which means that once you guys start getting into a workforce, right, most of the code will actually be built directly from GitHub. So instead of somebody with a computer saying compile the code and push it out to a server, why not have the central piece of authority that everybody connects into take that code and push it out for you? Especially nowadays when we have cloud computing where you can automatically spin up the cloud instances, get the server configured and deploy the software out without having to touch it. That can all be done inside of this. So GitHub ends up being the center of all of your work. Everything you do, the deployments, the setups, the messages, all the automation and all of your testing. Okay. So I'm just going to put this in here. I don't need a git ignore file or anything like that. We're good? Going to create the repository. Excellent. And then it's going to give us these instructions here. And this is where we're going to find out whether or not you got all of your environment finished set up, because if you can push to GitHub, then you have. And if you haven't pushed to GitHub, then you haven't. So we'll be having the instructors run around and help getting you set up with SSH keys if that's the case. But here's the basic rundown. You can see, let's create one from the command line. This is what we've got. We did the git init, right? Yes, we did. We git added our file. Instead of a readme, we did something else. We already committed, right? So we actually don't need a branch because they already made a branch for us. So this is the line that we actually care about. Okay, or you can kind of grab this from here. The same thing. And we're gonna do get remote, add. We have to give it a name, but the default name that everybody uses is origin. Technically, you can have as many different remote repositories, like I can be connected to his and this one and the GitHub one if I'm just trying to share directly instead of, but it doesn't make any sense. A star topology is just better. Everybody goes into the center and then pulls it out, right? So origin, and then I'm gonna put that thing there. This will be the most obnoxious command you generally have to type, because what you're doing is you're adding a connection to a remote server that your local machine can push its changes out to. And anybody who has those changes on the remote server, you can pull down as well. Okay, so this is the most, this and then the SSH key setups are probably the most important, but you really only have to do them once. So that's the main thing here. But what I'm effectively saying is, hey, get, I want my local repo to have a remote that is connected to called origin that's going to be at this location. Does that make sense? All right, if I hit add, and then I do a git push, and my repo's name's master, so I'm going to put master. And that's it. Now it's up on GitHub. In my case, at least. So if I hit refresh, I have this one file. Yay! All right, everybody give that a shot. When you try git push and it fails miserably, one of these 2, 3 people will be here to help. Zach? Yep. I suspect we'll have some SSH key configuration. We'll need help.
Dash in and then.
Yeah.
I'm
right here. Sorry.
We're both having the same issue.
What's that?
We got logged out of Git, both tried to get back in. We had to send an email to re-authenticate, but it's not actually.
Oh, yeah, most of the time you're gonna have these because you have the case. Yeah, we put it in double quotes and it can be whatever you. I mean, it's not it will show on your GitHub, so that makes it. So, you know, and it's, most people just go back first, that word.
And which guys think?
You have the divided.
No, but I couldn't I'm walking on my computer. So I'm putting in and putting it back.
Your remote, your home computer, you're doing that for your, what are you doing right now? We're trying to get.
Just because GitHub is logged in on my computer.
That shouldn't be a problem. I'm going to get about 8 places there.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is I can set you after that way, so that
Okay,
I just have to do it. I don't know. She.
probably not.
You know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Did they send?
Yeah. You should make it dash.
And no, it's not making.
It isn't it.
Meaning, we set up two factors for not that solid and something that is not.
So I also had to go. I just tried to get the desk as well, but it. So it's added.
The dash, it would say. Message.
Instead of.
Does it say?
Well, it's probably.
And then you're looking at switches. So you can get that.
Yeah.
To.
Yeah. So I should have 2 files.
You-
Yes.
Hold on, 5. That was, fuck you. Yeah, I know. Okay, excellent, thank you. It's you logging, definitely good. 9%, you have not gotten.
Did you go?
No, and I resent it, so I had it done. I tried
You
this.
got here? That's when you.
So now these changes are like staged. And you did get that rather than this like there. Anything else you have to add? So you-
I really hate how much Apple tries to help me.
Then you- and then you
It's
just do the space. Yeah, but now.
That's pretty good. As you?
No, nobody said, I'm not signed in here.
Yeah, she's not. Yes. That's your email? You have any other questions? Can you check your?
Yeah. Each day, everybody.
Cause he did.
What did you do? What is it?
Yeah.
There's-
It's not giving you errors.
What else am I gonna think of?
Probably everything. You get a password and reset it.
Oh, yeah, that was yesterday or Wednesday.
What's the date?
No space between the dash.
Okay, so you from ten. Yeah, go back to the rest of the.
So just try the same thing, but with that space between the dash.
Oh, yeah, I reset it, during our first class on my computer at home. That's why it was signing out here. Yeah, so these are today's,
It says slide, there's an error. And then I Google the error. That's kind of.
I wonder if it's keeping a session variable. Let's try one.
This is what they were going through. It's kind of, yeah. That's. So right now it's.
Is your updated password? Do you want to double check and get your password there? Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything that makes it bring up to the main? I could play the top of that. I know there's plenty of things you can do that order to.
yeah, okay, so you're not doing, yeah, yeah, okay. I'm gonna screw over there. It's quite a tour. Okay.
Does that mean you can give us refresh?
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Is that-
Okay.
Settings, yeah.
We found them all right here.
Yeah.
Now. Why not that? Oh, no. Just type in. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do this the other day too.
Which is the eight's saying that.
Yeah.
Okay, now try logging into from here and it's gonna make me send you a text.
Wait. Oh, no. It's not here.
So she's gonna have to go back. Then I got
Picking
then I'm
you
lost.
for all of about 10 minutes now.
But then I'm still lost. Okay, yeah, because we haven't.
Yeah, that's fine. I can help you with the other part. One thing I can't do is actually type the password for you. How many people have gotten get pushed to work?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's more stuck, so I can help you here from.
You know, we also. So whenever you try it, you better start.
I'm trying to get all of this. Okay.
You want those things.
Okay.
Or it's.
Well,
Guys, never, ever, ever feel bad about saying, well, yeah, I Googled that. 80% of my job is Googling shit. It really is basically finding all the stuff that's out there on Google and just putting it in new combinations. That is the entire job. I'm telling you right now. So feel good.
Now. No. Okay, I would leave it as saying that. With
Sweet. Get remote meetings, so you- so you want to-
Which one's on the grid? So go. Make sure to use that.
You don't want.
Yeah, I think.
Sure. Did I get that? I think it's great.
well, yeah.
Notes are wonderful things to put in. I actually have an entire note system built out of bash scripts and Git. We can do that in a second.
No, I don't.
Okay, so you can talk about the full line or just it push you originally.
I don't know. That's the piece I missed.
Yeah, and you have to set up, when you do a push, you gotta tell them which was the most.
Yeah. I feel like gave my phone. So.
You're good. Now go.
That's where I lost. That's right. Afraid of it, I'm confused. I needed to come to work. Yeah. So if I read
You have dots. That's what you're doing. I said, good, we're not. Need more dots. There are no small questions. No small-
When I say, and then I taste it. That's. I just copy this.
Yeah, it's easy to run it.
So, because it can't understand, there's a Unicode to UTF version that happens, Mac actually does a pretty good job of fixing that. But generally speaking, I think. But that's a byproduct of the fact that terminals didn't have version copies.
Or what's your
Sales. Man, that's.
It's
a shit. Copy it.
So did PW
Macs are different because they decided to rearrange the keyboard and then use a whole new key called command and stuff.
Yeah.
I know,
I could never use Mac.
I couldn't either, I can't either. The whole keyboard thing, like, there are good people in the world.
Yeah.
trying to live their best life and just do the right thing every day. Then there are people who rearrange keyboard layouts and they're okay to take the concentration. I'm just fine with that. Right? Like, it is just evil in a way that cannot be described. And Jobs decided he wanted to rearrange two buttons on the keyboard. Not any, not a lot. It's human. So you kind of feel like they're using it, but then you type something where you're like, ah, and it doesn't work right.
Yeah. Or Stevie has, yeah.
I love how it looks like she's helping you guys.
Well, try.
Yes.
Oh, see, Matrix 3.
You want,
Yes.
Did you set up a smart? How did you scan that?
Yeah.
So I generally recommend instead of using each login.
Coders were okay and bad and
Hey,
try something and then
hey,
It's just like, do this, but do like a browser based login.
yes, the username password, that's where he's at too, is because you usually have them do the get that or the H3, and
Put it down whenever receive is.
yeah, go ahead and do it. After having your password and nothing will get.
One time.
Yeah,
I
that's
think you're
instead
good.
of,
Alright, so
instead of doing
like change.
squares or dots, it's gonna be lines. Because that's the guy.
So.
So let's look at. We're gonna generate some piece for you. We can go through it. So I want you to type,
And then. So now you're.
one word. G.
Do I need to know first?
Enter. 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 Why don't we just enter?
Now we
Okay,
got.
okay, so there we go. So what you've done is you've created, well, create an ECC elliptic curve key pair
Alright, so
group.
what it's saying.
One key in the crypt and one key.
So that's what gets go to something.
Okay. So just exactly like it's doing in cryptic syntax.
Save that.
Because by the way, cryptic going to the kind of taking out a box. So. Let's.
Okay, so I can get it here.
So it knows me. And so that's. It's not. Yeah, if you were not working, or you wanted to say you're good, you would do it. And then if everything's, and then you think back to, so get out of space.
Okay, now we just add SSH.
Which means you add everything with the current.
Okay, so you like going through.
And now you know it's out. So
We're gonna keep the blah, 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 and then we get you
Save. you stage these things to be committed.
so-
Get them committed.
Yeah, SSH,
And
shell,
level
level target
normally,
between two units.
give it about.
Using
Because now you're in
the
that.
default version of SSH.
That is very confused. So you have.
Tunnel between the two locations and run and.
Okay, so
This is how the next thing is the most privilege management. And the well, when did you promote into it by the terminal?
You don't do that. So there's like. So. But I think you can just give her.
So if you have another.
So now
computer,
you're.
it should be developed with that.
Status and.
Yeah, you're not.
Now, if you did get status. it'll-
Now, this part is SSH.
On this case, you committed.
Well, down back to family.
Yeah, remember him, so you have to get. And then now we're. Push. I'm just glad we're going to get well, I was at this point now, it's going to see change the color of the new trees there. So I was in my normal, and I was gonna remember how to get back to like the. Okay, first we follow whatever. Thank you so much.
Code. Space, I just, like, assuming the code.
No, that's fine.
So you have this. So there's now. Like there's two methods.
Oh, God, now look at this code that government officials see.
Yeah.
All right, you file. We're opening that file, see that. We will not be this project.
We do now, yeah, we've all got it now, but we lost.
Yes.
So if I have one.
Oh, sure, okay, yes, so, float is.
You think who in the universe?
And then, good. And then, like, or large in the code. It's your,
Yeah, mine's a-
everything's you just go here, so, you show them this folder. And,
Server.
do this. Now. So you were just like, a bit further. No.
So.
Yeah, get commit. It's now it's get hot.
Just copy that and please do it. Just that one. Yeah, just.
First one, you should put it down, like, the goals and timelines are attached to your get. Making sure that's my.
Excellent.
Yeah, we already. Deal with that.
No, you need to.
How it is, and from that, to better integration to your actual. Like, you're not gonna do it.
Thank you. All right, so let's see you guys, you're going to go back to your, you have certain. Unless. So we're. Yeah. You're running, these are folders, so you're running, switch to wherever your projects. Oh, there's.
Are you doing all those too? I'm creating an SPP for me. So that in your account, go to your picture of the function.
We're going to just create a see the project.
Yeah, you can rename that.
And you don't have to put it in the-
You can do it here and.
That's where I
then I don't know if we have to change it.
Look at that, it's not great. Pretty awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh.
we've got lots of files in there.
Oh, yeah, so you were. No, so, yeah, you would rename it from new. And it's not.
Not the one. It's not the council. So, what you can start doing these files, and just like, you'll need to have, you have this repository on GitHub. Okay, So let's.
Yeah.
The.
I don't get notifications.
Are you not being chair? Are you also doing? Yeah. Okay, we're.
It's saying that.
Well, Hey, you're making fun of me.
Where are you trying to have it?
Say, go ahead. Oh, everybody's definitely patient. No, we're sitting, that's good. Which one? Let's go back to the. Okay. So, I think you guys can probably try and compare it to the while. Neither one. So, did you do the kid in that remote version thing?
No.
Well, that's. Yeah. Will you take a look at their study?
Yeah.
We're good.
So. To give it a name.
Instead of doing anything here, we're doing it from our.
Let's take that.
So we're generating.
I mean, no, having had at it, I don't have any, like, just don't swipe left.
No, I was.
Yeah.
Or maybe just drop this down a little bit bigger so we can see the previous commands.
Yeah.
There we go.
Beautiful.
So.
Now I.
So I would.
Now. It's not as a state. Always remains. So then for now.
Yeah.
Now. My school, I really like the commit message, so your kids. Yeah. And then double quotes. And you'll have a message.
Now.
Yeah. Is that done?
Like this.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Status data should show. We're on branch name, then the next trade. Get a lot. You can get a lot.
So it should be the secret.
And you get.
A lot of people will just, but that, it, I think it's required. Will you put like more updates or something like that?
You can do the name.
Please put, you want to put enough detail in there so that you're going back and trying to figure out. Because sometimes people put really short.
Yeah.
Hard to give them the code, should I not get that?
And you, yeah.
I'm saying that happens sometimes. Yeah, so it's better.
Okay, we have to do
Because
main.
lots of comment in there. So you can certainly do that and find where the change was, so it's like, oh, add this feature, really.
You know, just replace. Oh, you're. Oh, you no, this is the part that I hate. Okay.
Okay, what do you got?
So this is the part where, because they've never pushed it, so it's just making them put it on their GitHub info.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, it's not a crazy bug.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just literally copy that paste in there, so you're just copying that data.
It's too much. I feel like, you gotta get up.
So, hold on, so we've been. What do you need the tax?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not gonna show your password, and it's not gonna show the link of the password, it's gonna show. Yeah. So you have to like.
Got it,
remember-
okay, I can help you with the SSA. Command machine.
Yeah, no, we need help, we absolutely
Okay,
need help.
so where's your command line? Did you generate an SSH key yet?
They should be in there.
Here, I can, let me just walk you through it. Open up a terminal.
Wait, so do I get out of everything that I was on?
You don't have to close it right now. Just open
Open a new one, do command T, open something tab.
If you do like the arrow, it'll,
Say again.
if you like. Then get the username
Yeah, okay.
and so we'll just try again.
So we're all starting from scratch?
Well,
Okay.
let me see first if you have generated key. So do me a favor, this could be a weird command, but type ls space.
Okay.
Okay, tilde. No, not the word, oh, you got excellent, okay. Then slash dot SSH. And okay, you have an encrypted tag. Okay, you already have an SSH key. So we just need to upload it at this point, and you'll be good to go. It's this ls tilde
Okay, it's.
slash, okay, I can tell you what this is, so. What I just had, this is just a random question, but it's probably easier to describe up here. I just had them type this command for me. And I thought I would explain it. ls is the list command, it just says list the stuff in the folder, right?
Yeah.
But you can also give ls a folder that you want it to list things in without having to be in the folder. By default, it just lists the stuff that's in your folder, but you can be like, list what's in my documents, even if you're not in my documents. So the ls space tilde, that little thing right above the tab key, if you hit shift, this is why programmers learn the entire keyboard, is another way to say your home directory. So if you do tilde, it just means your home directory. And then I know that to see if the keys are there, they're going to be in the .ssh folder. So I said basically list. In my home folder, there's an SSH folder, list everything in that folder. So I could see if they've already generated their encryption keys. Right? So it's a funny looking command. Well, you can see I've got like 5 different encryption keys, but it's a funny looking command, but it all makes sense. And also that tilde, you can use anywhere on the bash command line for any other command too. So all this kind of builds on itself. Okay, so you've got that. That's good. Go to your GitHub account. Give it a title. Oh, you're on there. Yeah, go to your profile. Settings. Well, to find out. No, we gotta turn on the repository. Oh, you're good? Okay, yeah, you want to go into your settings and then SSH keys, yeah, just give it a name. Now, where we got the ls at, we need to open and view that .pub file. Okay, so what you created when you did your SSH keygen command was you created a pair of encryption keys where one can encrypt and the other can decrypt, right? The same kind of encryption that you use for securing communication on anything. All right, you've created a pair of keys that only those keys can encrypt and decrypt each other's code. So one of them you want to hang on and never ever share with anybody, and the other one you can give to the entire world because only your key can decrypt it, so they know it's coming through. So the .pub file is the one that you want to open, and you want to copy and paste the contents out of that file. So try typing. Does code work on your terminal? Okay, code space ID. Hit tab. Nothing wrong. Oh, you're not in that folder, right? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so let's change that folder. Just do CD space and then the exact same thing, tilde slash .ssh. Yep. Now try code ID. Hit dot. Hit that period, hit tab again. You want to use the public key, don't use the other one. The public key is the important one. You can give GitHub that, try to open it up, see if that works. Yeah. And that's what I was afraid of. Code is not fun. So I'm going to cheat, but you don't have to learn this and you really don't want to.
What's the name? I do want to know.
Okay, so Vim is a text editor. It's a Unix text editor. It is the most obnoxious text editor in the history of the world until you get good at it, and then it becomes the greatest thing in the history of man.
Okay,
Yeah, copy and paste that into that box underneath. This is, my text editor on here is actually a version of Vim. I live in Vim. I can't live without Vim. It's super important to me. There's a Vim compatibility mode for VS Code because people who use Vim can't live without Vim. But it's really obnoxious. So for example, to close your file, the correct command to close it is escape, Q exclamation point enter. So, and that's one of the easier ones.
okay, so this is it now. This is the only. thing I need to
That's the
copy.
only thing you need to copy.
I
Yep.
thought that I did,
Okay, so,
but.
oh, yeah, you see up arrow again, one more time for me?
Now,
Hit tab,
username again.
hit period. Tab, okay, time it's like 40, so there you go. Hit enter. There you go. That's what you need to copy.
Including the email.
Yeah, that entire line, yep,
So I'm gonna add it now.
okay.
So then.
Yeah, all right, now jump back to your code base and type SSH.
Okay, now how do I get out of this though?
Oh. Escape, colon, question, you exclamation. point.
Yeah.
Okay. I know, don't ask, it's one of those things.
I did, I wanted to.
You
know.
did,
Yeah.
yeah. There's something mentally wrong with it, it's like. No, it's like anything else, it's one of those tools that once you learn how to use, it's actually organized to make a ton of sense, but it uses it with a different mindset than anybody you've ever. And so once you get good at it, it's like, I mean. I remember the first time I saw somebody do Vim, I was in a normal text editor, because I was just out of college, I was having problems, so I called a buddy, and he showed up, and I was like, man, I've been having problems with this whole thing, I can't get it fixed, blah, 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 and he's like, he goes, so what do you want to do, and I'm explaining to him, he goes, oh, okay, yeah, 1 second, he goes, do you mind if I open up a Vim session, I'm like, yeah, sure, do whatever you want,
And then.
and he clicked open, the first thing he did was highlight the whole thing and delete it all.
And then just copy.
I was like, no. And then he started going, and it looked like he was kind of typing like this, I kind of. Except that the screen was going. He was like 10 lines were appearing for every keyboard character he was typing. I had no freaking clue what was going on, but it was like it was like magic. And it was Vim. He copied the whole thing into a buffer, and then it was basically inside that. Vim is a tool where you're not really typing code, you're writing code that writes it for you. And it's so fast, if you're good at it, it looks like magic. It looks like things are just flying on the screen. And I was like, okay, I gotta do that. So, and it took a year for me to be able to do anything useful with it. So, okay,
So now that we have our.
wait, this is good.
Cool.
Yes, you should be good to go. Now, we need to get back to the. Wait, oh, you did. I just need that name.
Verifying.
I was gonna show you some stuff. Never mind.
Over here, you can still show us.
No, it's too late now. You're taking all my. Suck on the light out of me, yes. Okay, the truck.
Then I wanna watch it over here.
Okay, great camera. Okay.
Sometimes there's something weird.
Yeah,
I'd say, it's.
I was gonna say,
I mean, it's.
always time for you that to jump back to the last folder.
That's what that's my use.
I was gonna have you back to the practical.
Probably.
Lost all the excitement.
Work around minutes. So you're gonna.
Wait, you jump back to the chronicle of Angel Sin.
Cause I
So that was good, that was gonna be, but that's good. Got it. But yeah, if you're in your project folder there, do git status. You haven't had that file, so you wanna make sure you get that. Yeah,
So that was what I was gonna show you earlier, whenever I did the git add the first time or whenever I was doing.
oh,
it.
that you got this evening.
And I didn't, yeah, so I had 2 files, I really only wanted to commit one, and I thought that I did,
It looks like it.
and then the second one didn't.
Right, you have to add that one first.
Okay.
So it sounds like you're okay. Scroll down.
And that, so here's where I'm confused, because
You don't know about doing it till you're stressed. You know,
They're
do a get remote.
I didn't know you had like that, weird like, if you set a different, that's awesome.
Remote dash B. Okay, so you haven't set up a remote with profits for any. Okay, so jump over to to get what? Okay, jump back to your account.
So. Follow those.
Profile. Oh, this is setting, I'm sorry.
Go back to the.
Look at the picture here. Oh, it doesn't- anyway, I mean, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like you.
No.
Okay, hit your little thing, go to. Go to your profile.
There.
That's the Python boot camp, so you have it, okay, try repository. Click new,
Alright, now go back.
alright, tap native in.
No.
Any name?
Well, then, yeah, you're trying to do, try this one.
Yeah.
So whatever the name is that you want, I would probably name it, okay, sure, just be. Pass to you. I'm sorry, is that wrong with the photo? That's what I'm saying.
I know,
I didn't think it was you, my person.
it's old. It's an old.
That's better than being old, so I have the second phone.
So,
Okay, yeah, and then just hit save.
so that, but
Where's the?
what I had hoped was that I could do something from here that, because the SSH key is now in here and I'm linked, that I could do something from here that would automatically send it.
You can, there's another tool, it's a Git is a tool.
Change that.
of reason. They have their own tool that allows you to kind of show those.
Okay.
That's
So,
it.
yeah,
That's set up so that you just. So just save that.
And you're not. sure
That's the line.
You have to like link the JavaScript.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I see. So this one has the JavaScript.
Now, let's do this.
And so it's
Okay.
only to this JavaScript.
Now you can get all that, we're
Just.
so you're doing this line here. Only that is going to be yours.
So you can typically do the JavaScript in your.
Are you
Actually, not this, my big beef with this is. Get out of changes this. Every year. So I can not. I'll do that. And it's just like. But it's not.
So you have no file.
Not quite. So.
All right, now.
Yeah.
I can push.
I mean, it makes kind of same.
That's good. Plan, get it. You're fine. Now
So
we
you
can do that one.
Yeah. you-
That set upload is also happens to be dash U, they're the same option.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to the.
So they let them push it up into the. And then the master. I'm trying to.
People press it. Okay, yeah, I'll go jump back to camera. Okay, do a git branch.
Yeah, now it's.
Exactly, what is going? Okay, so currently you're in master,
There you go.
so you're wanting to switch master to be.
It's going to use. So now, remember, in 90 days, you're gonna have to. update that again.
Okay, then
We
now,
can-
you've got two different branches.
Yeah, I'm,
Oh, probably have to contain it.
so.
If we do a git checkout.
With this.
Name.
And then.
There you go, okay, now you can put a file in there and add it.
So you're gonna just refresh that really quick, do Command R. There you go.
Wait a second.
And now, all of that, if we just did that stuff.
It's status.
Yeah.
When you're initially like setting up a lot of stuff like this, that's the only time you have to do it. So really the only time you'll have to mess with stuff like that again is.
Okay,
Or.
so yeah, whatever's already in there.
Software, or whenever you're setting up and you just shit. Okay, yeah.
You did, you got your get that?
Probably sitting at the.
Yeah, do it, okay. I can push.
Now, there's plenty of tutorials online. too, where you can
Yeah.
just physical.
Just get push, just get push. Oh, that's push that, maybe that's why, okay, yeah. Right on that, you're right there. You only have to type that one first time is push.
I did do it.
Thank you.
Oh, that's.
The machine, it's.
That's- Okay, you reject the branch, becomes current branch. Yeah, right in the list. So you made a base branch, put something on it, in the GitHub website, so your branch doesn't actually match that branch on there. So what we really need to do is create a new branch. And then delete your name that's there. Actually, it's probably the easiest thing to do, oh, except name is your default. Okay, let's say. Change your default branch name to something else. Master so other. That's great. Excellent. Okay. Now try doing it. Okay, now change back your branch, the main branch to main, because you'll have a new branch called main, which is the one you just pushed. It's always amazing to me when we teach classes how creatively students can not like break things. And it's not usually the students, it's like random stuff, but it is like, you will never learn this stuff so well as when you have to debug 800 different ways that you didn't even know you could fucking break something. It's fantastic. It's like, how did you do that? Okay. No, that's great. It's good boss.
Okay, alright, cool.
Okay. It's actually okay, so that's the first place. So you just put very tired. Yeah. But it is spectacular. Yeah, it's like, I'm very doing. Do you mind if I fix this for you instead of having type into this and then we can from there, is that all right? It's fine, it's just gonna get you a lot of trouble real quick. That's good. I'm gonna positive, and that's exactly what I want to hear. All right, so. Okay, all right, let's do an LS. You bring your, start with BWD. You are using the home. You do, so. I have this project for you. Okay, so you did a. It's that. No. So if it is. So you made the project folder. The entire. And then. It's fine. Let's. How about the internals? And then. Okay. Let's move projects first and rename it. That's how you rename 1,000 units. So type empty out of that. Run. Okay. Let's call this okay coders. They have spaces. If you guys haven't figured out, you can't have spaces in units. Doesn't work. So. Okay, here we go. So I'll be. Generator. So if there's any. So there's some really nice strip mall. It's like, what are you finding? You're your project. Do a gift card.
Yeah, like you get the house.
That's nice. Do you guys can promote that fee?
No, it's not like this place, is like made actors, brand. Basically, so you go up Broadway. But then you get that.
All right.
Yeah, and then you.
Okay, so I totally get this, the great highlight here, I totally get the retention on this particular piece of time may not be optimal. I do have several links inside the readmes for additional GitHub, Node, and stuff work for you guys, for all of you, so that you can track this. But again, this is one of those things that you just kind of got to practice, right? It's just the way it is. It's impossible to explain why a freaking F chord looks like it does on a guitar. It makes no sense until you've been playing for a while, and then you're like, oh, well, it's still stupid, but at least I know why. Okay, so it's kind of like that. I do apologize, but it'll come. And I promise it's really not that big a deal. Once your mind kind of gets used to it, it's like you don't even think about it anymore. So,
This is like literally the first part.
this is almost literally the hardest part of having like the on-ramp, like getting set up. Okay, so there we go. Okay, do right, so let's
You do not. Five that is like welcome. This is here like and this started like it's weird one. Actually like I've never seen anything else like it. I don't really understand the fiction, but I've been strong. So basically, yeah, if you generate an interface, grab it, and it's asking for Apple and like it's kind of poorly worded. When you see that, you can do it from here, and then if you want to run JavaScript, I think they're pushing out that. Yeah. Right, so you're really just running JavaScript. You're not running HTML or CSS, so you're not trying to do anything like you're trying to do program. I'm doing like that. The OK coders for Mixo. I also know it's part of the CS and they use good chop repositories to do the exact same one. On certain versions. So it's just like, oh yeah, there's like two different files. I just like.
You know, I wouldn't say I'm good at executing this stuff work.
That's what I say about being like, what's a show about that? Yeah.
So you wouldn't talk about when you feel like this kind of yeah, it would make sense because it's like very specific. You're doing a lot of stuff. So there's another figure. This is now like the document down.
I love
that.
I hate looking at so close to the.
Because you're looking for each. You know, once you get into the ego, so like you could try to and but it would say you have no. Something sounds a joke. Yeah. Now, there's other things that are available that aren't browser. Specific that. No, that's.
Probably. It requires no. So if you want to push directly, we'll have it. So we just need to get to you and try to teach. The other one.
Because they actually think that's like when you generate some weird generate.
Okay.
I didn't know if you wasn't using it.
So you should at least from this repository. But
But yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, projects like where all of your GitHub projects are at, so.
So like you could talk, that's how he went through it and pushing everything. You read in the. Yeah, I'm giving you demos and then. Okay, no. Then you should. Yeah.
Cause you can leave in
Yeah, you should see people file. You should not have any problem. Now, I think. With this in particular. Now, what I get to is guys. Kind of like that. And so when we get to that.
Which is kind of what I hoped. About when he told us to do, and then I heard he's right.
Yeah, so then you would do the same thing when you get at. You certainly. Now, it says.
Oh, is it?
They said.
Yeah, I mean.
Now,
Yeah.
do you guys get none?
Yeah, you guys.
We got,
You got the motion?
yes.
Okay, were you able to take that?
Yes, no, we. Yeah, sure, it's easier.
I feel like if I have to move this game.
Yeah, well, we didn't, it's gonna be sold, it's gonna be sold over.
Interesting. Yeah, that's.
Okay, well, I'll post up some things, go through the tutorials, get used to typing the stuff on there and, making your first jobs with that application stuff.
Thank you.
I don't know how much this class was.
It's the. Wait.
No difference between what you've got here is here, your whole question is affected this.
Oh.
So it doesn't get, it looks very changes. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's not. That's what did you just say? Are they maybe?
Okay, start with the.
I'll be happy.
Okay, go back.
Hey, Sean, I'll be around.
You would do that? Yeah, okay, so the welcome, sorry, welcome, the welcome. Well, it's gotta be the name. Sure, definitely. Is there like work that's.
You got work to do, right? We have other.
Yes, it was. Yeah. And you can see it's been modified, so now you do the get add and commit. Kind of get add, get commit, get push.
Progress. You out of here? Good to see you.
Did you get everything, Martin?
I can see this push on like one of my branches, but other branches that I made try on that as well.
Why would you be making? Alright. Yeah, I was definitely not covering branches because it's hard enough to cover. Where he's gonna be, have a positive master branch.
Yeah.
It's called name, you can over them.
You need to do that to give a message, so it's making you type a message. It opens it in there, so they then understand to come out to use. Yeah, yeah. That's, so, if it's, whatever, I will help you start typing a message, just don't don't try to copy paste or doing shortcuts or anything too crazy, because everyone is.
Okay.
Okay, so, hit escape. Colon, not like colon.
You know, there's nothing sound.
Yes. Good.
Hey, Tulsa folks.
Good status, hello?
Hey, Bobby, will you mute for, or like turn the speaker off for a second?
Uh,
Unplug from the HDMI probably.
I can probably do that, I can also probably just mute this, here, 1 second. Does that work?
Yes. Hey, I don't know if the speaker series is happening today. I think Emily has been out.
That's kind of the workflow, if you ever wanna know what to
I'm
do,
here.
just type get status.
Hey, will you
figure out where
will you
you're at.
mute,
If
Bobby?
the files haven't been added.
Oh wait, are you in Tulsa? Oh,
you
there's
hit
this,
add,
oh,
it
sorry.
Creates a snapshot, hit commit, bundles all those snapshots into a.
That's so
document chain,
distracting.
And then pushes them up again.
They're in Tulsa.
Generally, I will do, during the day, I'll be getting add, getting commit, like every 30 minutes. Or every 10 minutes, or if it's something really complicated, I'll do every couple minutes. And then at the end of the day, I do pushes the whole, all one work of the day. So. Yeah.
Okay, so for the last. Everything that I asked.
He just dropped it.
Yeah. So is this part even supposed to be recorded?
I wasn't planning on it being recorded, but if it is, that's fine. I messaged Zach, telling him it was like kind of distracting. And one thing I hope y'all might do is practice your elevator pitches, maybe record it, I don't know.
Hey, will you guys say something in Tulsa?
I'm not networking today. I didn't get Nancy. I said, remember. It's been a year ago.
Hey. Hold on, let me get you turned up a bit.
Okay, still talking.
You want to split it out? Is not making it just for attention of one of the board, I thought it was that was not very warm. Like, how do we work on one thing?
Okay, gang, we've got our speaker that's talking about networking is in Tulsa. Let me. Can you say hello in Tulsa?
Hello.
Hey, pin you. Okay, all right, sorry. It's a little chaotic today, learning Git. It just, puts everybody
Yeah,
into
a
it.
lot.
Here, let me put you up so you can see everybody.
So I'm trying to be there in 2 weeks to speak to them. They don't really need to be part of this today.
Oh, okay. Are you doing the series?
Yes, I'm speaking on networking today to the Tulsa folks. And then
Okay, and then you're gonna be here. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. Sorry. All right. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later, I guess.
Bye.
Everything from 101, just stick with folder.